Let's go straight across now to Dr. Abhishek Singhvi, Rajya Sabha MP of the Congress Party. Thanks, sir, very much for being with us. I think the one point which doesn't come through as far as these hacks are concerned is whether these were authentic. There was no forensic examination of these phones. So I know what the Congress has said today. Is that vulnerability in your own argument today?
Not at all, Vishnu. Let me tell you that there can be nothing more clear as positive proof than here. And I think it is not Karnataka which is the issue. It is not Rahul Gandhi which is the issue. It is not you or me or Siddaramaiah or Kumaraswamy. The issue is a much larger one. And
but for a moment, Dr. Singhvi, let's talk about Karnataka. We'll talk about the larger issue. But I'm asking about Karnataka at a time when your government fell. In a situation like that, do you believe the evidence which has come out is strong enough to prove hacking took place?
Not 100%, but 110%. Karnataka only reinforces the point I was trying to make. Karnataka only underlines, because the time period which your analysis itself shows fits in very well when toppling games were being played. So there is absolutely no doubt, but let me tell you why there is no doubt. And this applies across the board to every disclosure qua Pegasus. Point number one, a simple single question was asked. And for 2 years in this country, the top people from the numero uno to the home minister downwards, there is no reply even in parliament. Simple one-line question.
Yeah.
Did you or did you not ever acquire the Pegasus software? You have got 100 answers, but no answer to that. Now, in not law but common sense, that means implied admission. 2, the cost is very high, as you know, of this
Correct.
equipment.
And only government supposedly buy it.
I and ordinary people cannot afford it. Number 3, the Pegasus has repeatedly said we sell only to government. Number 4, there are names which fit in completely with the strategy of this government, because unfortunately in this country, there is no punitive consequence of this thing.
No,
unfortunately, in this country, long ago, we did not have a rule, as in USA, that inadmissible evidence like this shall be excluded. What we say is, chalo, acha hai, bura hai, sahi liya hai, galat liya hai. Once we have got the information, it is usable.
No, so I understand that. But Dr. Singhvi, how do you respond to what the BJP said yesterday, saying that nothing in any of the in any of the stories established a link between the government and Pegasus? That you can't. They have not clearly said they've acquired Pegasus. They never have, right? And so that is the point you've raised. However, to say that they misused Pegasus needs proof. And so I'm just asking whether how do you draw
proof? That is positive proof. They have they said that we did not acquire Pegasus?
No, they've not.
Give me a minute. They've not. Was this question asked in Parliament directly? Yes. Was this obliged to them to answer directly? It's a yes/no answer. Now, if I ask you that question 10 times and you do not deny having acquired it, that means you have acquired it. That's the point you're missing. Number 2, once you have acquired such expensive software, over some 3,000 names is what your newspapers have published. Right. Are you going to spend, and it costs, as you know, some crores per person. Are you going to do a dance with that money you spend, or are you going to use it? You spent a few crores for 300 persons per person. You're going to store it in your locker or keep it in the bank?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm only asking, and I'm just trying to bring in the other side and what they have actually said over here, that please, that these phones, in fact, the Wire itself today says that in the case of Karnataka, there was no forensic analysis. In the case of journalists and others, there was.
Tell me one thing, Vishnu. If you are not going to even deny that you acquired it, are you going to give me the transcripts or the actual taps? Obviously, till you give me the taps, I can't prove that you tapped them.
No, but they may have acquired it. Have they used it to this purpose?
Well, your dates fit in.
No, you are relying only on the telephone numbers, Dr. Singhvi, right? I would suggest that it becomes a lot more credible when you've got telephone numbers and forensic analysis. I'm not even suggesting forensic analysis in India. I'm saying international forensic analysis. In the case of Karnataka, that's not happened. It's a limited point.
Who will get the forensic analysis done? Tomorrow, somebody has to admit that we purchased this software. What is being told to you is that there's no software like this in India. Or did Vishnu So purchase it or Abhishek Singhvi purchase it for 300 numbers? Now, unless you admit that, who's going to get? Who will guard the guardians?
I'm just trying to understand why can't these numbers now be forensically examined? I mean, I know if the numbers are, if the phones, there would be phones which are the same. There would be numbers certainly which are the same.
They cannot be examined because this requires a very special state power to examine it.
Why send it outside? Give it to Amnesty.
No, it's not so easy. It's not so easy.
Why not, sir?
It has to be matched with the software. You have to have some access to the software. You are having a seal at both ends. The manufacturer, I don't blame the manufacturer much. You know, atomic energy is good. It can be used for good purposes. They were using it for
but Dr. Singhvi, surely a way can be found to see if there was hacking or not. I mean, I'm sure you would be relieved if this wasn't hacking.
I have a simple answer. Any country with transparency and democratic norms, if you put a question like this to the president of the USA and you don't get an answer, the whole country believes that you have acquired the software. It's simple as that. And till today, that's the simple. Now remember, the former IT minister and the current IT minister, he's hardly a few days old, have given identical answers. If you check the answers, do you think it can withstand cross-examination?
Right, and ironically, the new IT minister figures in the list.
If I put you in the box as a first-year lawyer, you will have no answer if I ask you these questions. Now, all that is happening is fudging. All that is happening is evasion, circumvention. Now, just because you are in power and you have a brute majority, it doesn't mean that the people are believing. You have to, your test has to be what
so, Dr. Singhvi, what are you going to do about it? By you, I mean Congress, by those who have been targeted. The government says we haven't done it. There is no proof that they have done it other than conjecture. There is no letter, there is no leak other than the number.
First of all, this is far, far, far more than conjecture. Let us not call it conjecture. There are independent people who have no axe to grind in domestic Indian politics who have published this, be it the Forbidden List or the other NGOs in Paris. There is a wire which has published it. It is all verifiable. The only way to debunk is to give an answer on Parliament for which I can haul you up in privilege, or outside Parliament in which I can haul you up in perjury. You don't give that. You use brute majority to do this. What will we do? In a democracy, I cannot put my hand inside your mouth or throat and strangulate you and take an answer out of you. But what I can do in a democracy is happening. And this is the cumulative impact which is going against the government. We are shaming them. Public opinion is realizing that there is prevarication of the worst kind. Public opinion is realizing that you are throwing all democratic norms to the winds in trying to get this illegally. And then, in some individual cases, in the fullness and ripeness of time, we may take legal action. But everything is not legal. In the bar of public opinion, if there is naming and shaming, it is much more important. In Parliament today, are you not shamed? Your minister is getting up and giving a 2019 answer and not answering one simple two questions.
Do you believe, Dr. Singhvi, and this is my final question to you because I've got my other panelists who will be joining me in a moment, that the biggest problem as far as the response of the government is concerned is in debunking whatever has been done outside, what the wire has done, all wrong, all conspiracy, time for our... Why don't they just order an investigation?
This is the problem. This government, among other things, has used 2 or 3 techniques repeatedly, so much so that they are now jaded and laughed at. One is using brute majority and numbers. 2, shoot the messenger. 3, digress from the message and say, oh, forget the answer whether I acquired spyware or not. But in 1963, Nehru did one snooping on Vishnu Som. These are the kind of answers you are getting.
Fortunately, Sir Vishnu Som not that old.
No, I'm giving you that. I'm telling you the kind of answer.
But Dr. Singhvi, I take the point that you're trying to make. It would have been helpful if there was a probe that was actually made. And the fact that it's not been announced thus far in this country is dubious, many would say. Dr. Singhvi, thanks very much for being with us.